All right, good morning. This is Dr. Dennis Lesniak. Today, we are going to be talking about big bad carbohydrates. We had some feedback. People asked some questions regarding kind of weight loss, carbohydrates. What's the deal? So I'm going to say a couple of things. This topic is going to be specific to weight loss only. So this is not disease management. This is not anything besides dealing with weight loss because this topic can get really vast. So first thing I will tell you is I do not ascribe to one specific dietary lifestyle because you have to find a way of eating that works best for you long term. I don't like saying the word diet because diet implies an end. So we want to find a way to eat that you can do all the time. Otherwise, when you stop and you go back to what you were doing before, you will end up in the same place as you were when you started, which I do not believe is anyone's hope when making lifestyle changes to lose weight, to become healthy, to get fit, whatever that is. So I have athletes and patients that have done many different diets. I have athletes and patients that are vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, keto, paleo, strict macros counting, low lectin diets, gluten-free diets. And the reason there are so many is that each of us have different preferences and different ways that we like to eat. And we could throw in there intermittent fasting, eating 2 to 3 meals a day, eating 6 meals a day, okay? The big things that we need to understand when we are trying to make dietary changes is if we're looking to lose weight, which we said this conversation is about, we have to create a caloric deficit. That's how it works. If you do not have a caloric deficit, you cannot lose weight. It's thermodynamics. So that's number one. Number two, it needs to be sustainable for you. You shouldn't feel like crap on a diet when you are looking to lose weight. You should not be feeling as though you are constantly missing things and you have poor sleep and you're achy and you just don't feel good. Now there's a difference between a long-term feeling like that and the first couple days like that. If you've been really abusing your body or just kind of, eating anything and everything, and then you create restriction that is significantly different than what you were doing before, there is going to be some responses that may include some headaches, that may include a couple of days of not feeling great. That's your body transitioning away from what it is that you were doing to what you are now doing. So that does happen, but if it's a long-term thing like that, it's not a good idea. Now, the topic of the conversation, carbohydrates, okay? Carbohydrates, so what are carbohydrates? Vegetables are carbohydrates, fruits are carbohydrates, lots of breads, pastas, cereals, grains, okay? Those are carbohydrate sources. Now, you hear there's good carbs, there's bad carbs. You hear that carbs are good for you, carbs are bad for you. Again, it depends on what your goals are. It depends on what you feel better eating. And it depends on what you're looking to do. Okay, so it's kind of like the same thing with what your goals are. So remember, any dietary strategy we utilize, we have to create a caloric deficit. You can lose weight eating 100% carbohydrate diet. I would never advise such a thing. It's gonna create a slew of issues, but if you were in a caloric deficit and all you ate was carbohydrates, yes, you would lose weight. Remember, this is only weight loss. Is that gonna equate to health? No, okay? So, people like paleo, keto, carnivore diets because you get to eat more protein and fats, which are more satiating foods, which makes you feel full longer. That feeling of full makes it so you don't have to eat as much. carbohydrates have a tendency to make you feel full for a very short period of time, and then you feel hungry again, just because it's a little bit easier to digest some of them, okay? Are carbohydrates good or bad? Sorry, there's no right answer there. It depends on what you want to do. Are there certain food choices for weight loss that are better than others? Yes, and that only comes down to availability and satiety, right? Or satiety. So like what keeps you full. Obviously, if we choose foods that are higher in a type of carbohydrate, sugar, and not a lot of fiber, you will have a spike of energy, and then you will feel not full later. And that's gonna make you typically want to eat more of those carbohydrates or other food sources. So that increases our likelihood of overeating them. What should we eat? If you are eating carbohydrates, and again, we are looking for weight loss only, I recommend that we choose carbohydrates that are going to have more volume for the amount of calories you are eating. So this is why people promote vegetables in that regard. So salads, broccolis, cucumbers, zucchini, yellow squash, things of that nature. You're going to get more volume of food for the amount of calories you are eating, which means that you are then going to feel more satiated. When we go to fruit, you have more sugar and more carbohydrates relative to the amount of food you are eating. So its caloric content is denser. And when we are looking for weight loss, we want less calorically dense foods because we want the feeling of being full so that we do not tend to overeat. Grains, so we're talking breads, cereals, pastas. Highly processed, they typically have more sugar, less fiber, okay? Fiber helps you feel fuller and it blunts the blood sugar response that you're going to get from eating sugar. So when you eat a piece of fruit and it has 140 calories in it, and you have a bowl of cereal and it has 140 calories in it, the fruit tends to make you feel full longer because it typically has more fiber and more phytonutrients, and it takes a little more work to digest, so you stay full longer, versus that 140 calories of cereal, okay? So I like to tell people that carbohydrates are earned. And if we are looking to lose weight, we don't want the majority of our calories to come from carbohydrates, okay? And again, this talk is strictly weight loss. I'm already coming up on 8 minutes, and we're not really getting into athletic performance, disease management, and things like that, which we could. But so for weight loss purposes, we try to keep carbohydrates in a scenario where we are having high volume, lower calorie foods, okay? You'll see if you look at how much volume of food is 140 calories of broccoli versus 140 calories of apple versus 140 calories of pasta, okay? And you're gonna see that that food becomes from something big, a few cups, to a cup, cup and a half, to half a cup, okay? That's where people get tripped up because we like to equate quantity or size with calories, and it's not quite that true. So, first things first, if you're looking to lose weight, you need to make sure that you have a caloric deficit. How do you find that out? Well, you can do a bunch of different calculations online that can give you a rough guesstimate. You can consult a nutrition professional, someone who is, has a background in nutrition that works in a scenario where they provide dietary advice to people. You can get a BIA reading, you can get BOD-POD, DEXA scan, InBody, one of those, and that gives you an idea of where you're at. And those numbers can fluctuate depending on day to day, sleep, water, all of those different things. Then you have to create a caloric deficit. And I do want to make sure we talk about this because this is where people make mistakes very commonly. I'm gonna eat really good Monday through Friday. So the dirty math, meaning it's different for everybody, is that it takes about 3,500 calories of caloric deficit to lose a pound. Okay? Now, if you do it real quick, real fast, and you create a huge caloric deficit, a lot of the weight loss is water. Because carbohydrates bring water with it. When we decrease carbohydrates, we get a water flush, and that's how people end up losing 4 or 5 pounds in a week. And you're like, oh my God, it's amazing. It's not amazing. It's playing with science. So that is not necessarily a long-term strategy that's going to be successful. It looks good on paper, but is it sustainable? So creating our caloric deficit. The top end of healthy weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds per week. That 2 pounds is for someone who has a lot more weight to lose, okay? So if we do the math on that, 3,500 calories over the course of a week, over 7 days, right? You're looking at around 500 calorie deficit a day. A larger person can do that without much of a challenge. A small person, that's a big deficit, and you got to be careful. This is where consulting a professional is important, but I just want to get some stuff out there. People set themselves up and they do something like this. They kill on Monday through Friday. They eat perfect, and they eat so good they might be even further down than they need to be. And so, say they eat negative 700 calories over the course of Monday through Friday each day, right? 7 times 5, okay? We're looking at 3,500 calories. They lost a pound. I need to reward myself. I did such a great job. Saturday and Sunday, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna enjoy myself. And it is very easy, especially with that we just talked about, with those volume of carbohydrates, and then we add in a little alcohol, to add in and go in a surplus over 2 days, anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 calories. It's pretty easy to do. Keep math simple, right? We were negative 3,500 Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sunday, we go up plus 2,000. So that leaves us with negative 1,500 calories. Now, we keep doing that. Crush during the week, Saturday, Sunday, it's not that great. It takes us almost 3 weeks to lose 1 pound in that scenario, okay? So you're gonna get frustrated in that type of situation. You're gonna get really disheartened by doing that, and then what are you gonna do? Oh, this isn't working. No, you just underestimate what you're doing on the weekends, and or you're pushing too hard too fast during the week, okay? So it really comes down to, it's a numbers game, and you got to make sure that you stay on top of it and you really do a good job of managing it. And again, this is where consulting a professional is important, because they provide you this type of feedback and they guide you on that path, and they direct you in a way that you are going to be most successful. Remember, if you're beginning something and you're like, oh, I can't wait for this to end, you're probably not going to be successful long term. So, are carbohydrates bad? No, they're not bad. The quantity of what you need is different from person to person. What types of carbohydrates you need vary from person to person. And again, please remember, this conversation was specific to weight loss only. We are not talking about disease management. We are not talking about performance enhancement or anything like that. Strictly weight loss. This was a longer talk. I do hope you guys found it informative. I really do appreciate the feedback, because I want to talk about the topics that you guys are going to find to be beneficial, and you let me know what you want to hear about, and we'll get it out there for you guys. So have a good rest of the week, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Have a good day.